Today, I have a crazy story for you. An unlikely love story between me and a gun you probably never heard of. No, seriously, it goes to a different school, you wouldn't know it. This is a tale of passion, of loyalty tested, and ultimately a betrayal so shocking that you have to see it to believe it. But let me start at the beginning. When I first met the RIA 5.0E, I wasn't too excited. Some of my friends had taken its sister out and said that she was mid and full of red flags. See, we've all heard of Rock Island Armory and know that most of its guns are made in the Philippines. Now, I like them, but this gun is from RIA USA, which is their venture into American manufacturing with a facility in Cedar City, Utah. The 5.0 and 5E, well, I'm gonna call it her 5E from now on, come in 9mm and are their first versions of what is, to be clear, an original gun, not a rehash of everything else that's already out there. It was mysterious, and even though it broke some of my rules, I decided to take it out. 5E is for people that like guns. The company doesn't really tell you what the gun is, what problems it solves, or who it's even for. The marketing has no personality, and therefore, the gun is kind of lost in the waves of the industry. I'd say it's for competition shooters, tactical training, or those that train with full-size guns. Now let me tell you about it. STI International, which you know now as Staccato, filed patents in the early 90s that covered modular frame design. So like at 2011, the patents on aluminum frame inserts and polymer grip modules have expired and are now public domain. 5E follows that design concept. The polymer grip portion is close to the 1911 M&P grip angle and has a fantastic texture. Very grippy without being over the top. I actually think it's perfect. Other than that though, it's smooth everywhere else. Now this is an internal hammer-fired gun, and you can see the hammer nested inside the back of the slide. It has a full pick rail for lights on the aluminum portion of the frame, and the steel slide has very aggressive lightning cuts and serrations on the front. The serrations on the rear of the slide could be more defined, and I actually found myself slipping off of them. So once I installed a red dot, that issue did go away. So just keep that in mind for the iron sight gang. Sound off in the comments. The slide is smaller than most guns, kind of like a Beretta 92, and it takes a little getting used to. The coating is DLC or diamond-like carbon or coat, I don't know, but it has held up really good and it should continue to. I'm gonna jump ahead and tell you, this gun flat out shoots. I never lubed it, it didn't need it. Our love was its own lube. Our initial relationship was pretty physical. It shoots fast, transitions fast, follows up fast. Our range sessions left me sweaty. It's an absolute beast. Now more on that later, but don't forget, not every love story has a happy ending. And that brings me to, this thing looks good. It reminds me of a RoboCop style gun. I love the design aesthetic, but more importantly, it truly has a low bore axis, unlike the Daniel Defense H9. Meaning the top of my hand is close to being in line with the barrel. Now imagine holding a flower from the bottom of the stem and shaking it. The top is loose and kind of wobbling all over the place, but by placing my hand high on the stem, you can see the flower is now actually very stable and solid. Same concept here. This is a full-size gun, just under 5-inch square barrel, 8 inches long overall, and weighs just over 2 pounds unloaded. She thick. Between the bore axis, size, and weight, it's a very soft recoiling gun. Very easy to shoot fast and get back on target after every shot. It's very stable, unlike my ex's. The reason it's so soft shooting is its RVS or ram valve system. It's a clever, short recoil system that should reduce felt recoil and muzzle flip. As the slide starts to recoil, the guide rod presses out a block that stops the barrel's rearward movement and the slide continues on. It's genuinely pretty clever and not overly complicated. It's like a good couples therapist. It helps manage the emotion and keeps things calm when they get heated. As far as I can tell, the gun is not ambi friendly. The mag release and slide catch are on the left side of the frame, so if you're wrong-handed, figure it out. Now it's cut from the factory for red dots with a removable cover and has several different optics plates. One fits red dots for the RMSC pattern and one is labeled RSH, which is a mounting system from C&H Precision, and that's the one that RIA USA uses, which fits the RMR, but why not label it RMR or at least mention it? That's the term in common use, and being fancy just seems a little hoity-toity. It's confusing for the end user, me. When I first received the gun, the mounting plates didn't fit, so I reached out to him to see if I was just a potato brain and actually found that the slide that I received was mismachined, but they had fixed that issue for production guns. Side note, I think this gun had gone to other reviewers before me, but no one ever tried to put a red dot on it? Interesting. Careful who you listen to out there. Regardless, they got me a new gun the next day and the optics plates fit perfectly. I had shot 500 plus rounds through it at that point, but now with the new gun, I had to start over from zero. The sights are from Night Vision and have a green fiber front and blacked out serrated drift adjustable rear. Not suppressor height, so no co-witness on your dots. You can replace them if you want though. The safety bladed trigger is straight with the front curve and is actually very different from what you're used to, and I think that might be a good thing. It almost feels like a two-stage trigger. The first part of the take-up is very loose, like your mom. God dang it, I can't stop, it's a sickness. So it's loose, and then it hits this pressure wall. So have you ever been in a pool and tried to swing your open palm through the water quickly and it kind of just feels like you're moving in slow motion? That's what that pressure wall feels like. It's not resistant per se, just smooth. The pressure remains consistent all the way until it fires with a very crisp brake and zero over travel. The brake falls at an average of 3 pounds 6 ounces. The reset is obvious and lets out at the beginning of that pressure wall that I mentioned. The trigger is smoother than my pickup lines. Are you a parking ticket? Because you got fine written all over you. Are you Wi-Fi? Because I'm feeling a connection. Besides the trigger safety, there's no other external safeties. It comes with 3 steel 17-round magazines or 10-round versions, which is awesome. 3 magazines should be the minimum that companies send. The mag well is not flared, but it is ramped in and reloads easy enough. They don't have 15-round magazine options, which is less than ideal for restricted states, and there's no base pads or extensions available, which might upset some competition shooters, and we all know they're whiny bitches. These go for just under $2,000. Now I know that that's a lot, and I understand. Compared to some other mid-price full-size competition guns, the CZ Shadow 2 is about $1,300, TS2 is about $1,600, M&P Metal competitor version is $1,000, SIG X5 Legion is just over $1,000, and the Walther PDP Match just over $1,000. The list goes on, and even compared to those, it is a lot. I know it's challenging to A, launch a brand new gun, and B, start manufacturing a brand new gun in the United States. You're inventing almost every part and process from scratch, and that takes time and money. I get it, so I leave the value proposition up to you. Now, as you might suspect, there's almost no real aftermarket support. No mag upgrades, no threaded barrels, that I could find at least. You can change the sights, and there are a couple companies making holsters. FPS Holsters is one, and my holster came from Black Rhino Concealment. For now, what you buy is what you have. I put a Gideon Optics Omega Red Dot on the RMR plate and an Enforce Wild 2 metal light on the front of this one. From the first time I pulled the trigger, I was wowed. This gun shoots like a freaking dream. I had zero expectations and kinda instantly loved it. I stopped paying attention to round count and just started bringing it to the range every single week, even after I was done testing it, just so I could shoot it some more. The recoil impulse is a fast ka-chunk, but incredibly soft and feels like a sewing machine. At 1,000 rounds, I said, okay, that's it. Review is done. 5E is badass. A+ would bang. I put it back in the safe knowing I just couldn't justify using any more ammunition. The following week, I packed up to go to the range to test other guns, and 5E caught my eye again. I figured, you know what? I deserve to have some fun, so I'll take it, and then after I'm done filming some reviews, I'll just shoot it for fun, maybe get a little practice in, just a little quality time. At the end of the range day, I loaded up the 6 magazines that I have, and on my first magazine, started having problems. The trigger wasn't breaking right. I was having some issues just like not firing at all when I pulled the trigger. It was just acting absolutely insane. It wasn't me, it was her. I guess I could have stopped at 1,000 and sent the gun back, and that would have been a much happier ending to this video, but here we are. Not my first rodeo. I've had my heart broken before. Now, one minute we're laughing and hitting targets together, and the next, it's all falling apart, literally. So what had happened was, I almost immediately saw what was going on. They use a captured pin for the trigger and tiny Allen screws on both sides of the pins on the frame. One of the screws had just yeeted itself God knows where, and the pin had just started walking out. Additionally, the pin at the front of the trigger guard that connects the polymer grip module to the aluminum frame had also started walking out. So I reached out to RIA USA and let them know what was going on, and I mostly just got back, yeah, we haven't seen that either. So they sent me a bag of small Allen keycaps, and I Loctited them in, and the front pin was easy enough to press back in with my thumb. They offer a limited lifetime warranty, which seems fine if a bit uninspired. But here we are, so let's break it down. The pros, almost everything. It's a dream to shoot. They created a new gun, and that's not easy. It's not cheap, and it's not something that we see very often anymore. I truly applaud their effort, and I think we should support companies that follow this path. The cons. The takedown kind of sucks. It's complicated and difficult, like finding the clip. Nope, this is a family channel. But since it's a novel design, that's not really that unexpected. The issues. For 2,000 simoleons, should screws and pins fall out? I know if I spent my hard-earned money on it and it happened at a match or something, I'd be really pissed off. Even though it's easily fixable, it's inconvenient at best. Some guns are high maintenance, 5E wasn't until it was. It's always the hot ones. So where does this leave us with 5E, the RIA 5.0E? It's a tale of highs and lows, much like any passionate relationship. The gun has its undeniable charm, it's unique, it shoots like a dream, and it's a fresh face in a sea of mediocrity. However, the physical beauty and shooting experience were marred by some minor issues. Now, in the end, while my heart was captured by this gun's performance, the betrayal of mechanical issues kind of just reminds us that in love and in firearms, reliability is the true test of loyalty. Now watch this video to see more of my hot gun-on-gun action.